Today I'm working on the Unit 9 Day 4 practice worksheet. We're doing the front and the back, and this is both sets of special right triangles intermixed. The first thing I've done is put the formulas up for myself on the top of the paper. This triangle is the 45, 45, 90, and I know that because these two sides are congruent. And then over here I've got the 30, 60, 90. Now, for some of you who might still be having some issues, what I would recommend is maybe going through and doing all of the 45, 45, 90 first, just so you're in that mindset, and then flip and do the 30, 60, 90. So I'm going to look at several of those of the 45, 45, 90. So first thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and circle those that are the 45, 45, 90. So I see 1, 5, 7, number 9, and number 11. So let's start with those. If I've been given this leg here, all I have to do is multiply by radical 2 to get to that hypotenuse. So we've got a leg of 30, its other leg would be 30, again because it's isosceles, and to get to there, I multiply by radical 2. Let's go to this number 5, same thing. I've been given both of the legs, so I'm here or here, and to get to that hypotenuse, I simply multiply by radical 2. Let's go take a look at number 9. Number 9 is the same thing. Again, here's a leg. That means x is the other leg, and the hypotenuse is 25 radical 2. Now, if I look at the remaining two, this is the case where I've been given the hypotenuse, so let's go back up here for just a moment. To get from here to here, I'm multiplying by radical 2, so if I'm going to go backwards, I need to divide by radical 2. So let's go down to 42. I'm taking 42, I'm dividing by radical 2. We did point out a pattern when you're dividing. I'll show you that, but if you can't remember that, we can go through how to rationalize. The pattern was take 42 divided by 2, it's 21, and then put that radical beside it. And both of those sides would be the same thing. Number 11 is the same thing, but I can show you how you would rationalize that. So that would be 52 divided by radical 2. Again, if you want to use the shortcut, 52 divided by 2 is 26, and we put the radical beside it. And it would be the same thing over here because both legs are the same. If you can't remember that method, we discussed rationalizing the denominator like you did in Algebra 1. So multiplying by radical 2 over radical 2. Radical 2 times radical 2 is radical 4, which is 2, which is what the goal should be to get rid of the radical. And finally, 52 divided by 2 is another way of getting the 26 radical 2. Okay, now moving on to the rest of the problems. All of these are 30, 60, 90. And again, if you need to take it one step at a time, I'm going to go look for those that I have the short leg because that's the easiest case. So if you look at number 3, 21 is the shortest. I can see that because it's across from the smallest angle, or visibly I can see. So I'm just going to write myself a note that this is the short. So if this is x, to get to the hypotenuse, I simply multiply it by 2. So 21 times 2 gives me 42. And then to get from the short to the long, I'm just multiplying by radical 3. And I'm skimming through the rest of these to see if any of the others we are given the short leg. The next one that I see you have the short leg is down to number 10. So let's go down there. Again, to get from the short leg to the hypotenuse, I multiply by 2. And the only pieces I'm multiplying are those numbers outside of the radical. So that would give me a 30 radical 3. Then to get from here to here, I'm multiplying by radical 3. So 15 radical 3 times 15 radical 3 would be 15 radical 9, which is 15 times 3, which ultimately gives me 45. Now let's go look for those where you have the hypotenuse. I'm going to go start with number 4. On this one, I've got the hypotenuse. So to get from here to here, I multiply by 2. So if I'm going to go backwards, I'm going to divide by 2, and we end up with x is equal to 23. And then to get from the short to the long, we are multiplying by radical 3. Let's go take a look at one more for you. Let's go up to number 2. Again, it's a 30, 60, 90, but in this case I have the long leg. So again, let's look up here. To get from here to here, I multiply by radical 3. So that means to get to the short, I need to divide by radical 3. And again, we can use that shortcut. 45 divided by 3 is 15, and then I put my radical attached with it. And then to get from here to here, I multiply it by 2, and we get 30 radical 3. All right, let's go look at one more. Number 6, same thing. I'm going from the long leg back to the short. So I'm going to take 48 divided by radical 3. Again, 48 divided by 3 is 16, and we put that radical beside it. And then to get from here to here, we are doubling it. And we get 32 radical 3. Okay, hopefully that gives you enough instruction. I did most of them on this page, but not all of them. So you are going to finish up that page, and then you've got the back side as well. As always, if you have any questions, send me an email, or you can post the question on the discussion board.